Everyone is scared on the crypto market. We are probably going to zero. Altcoins are going to see another low. They will liquidate everyone one more time. Bitcoin is going to $85,000 and you should sell all your crypto right now and exit the market and go buy some real estate or buy some stocks and wait for 20 years for 2x, right? Today, we're talking about the current situation on the crypto market. I will tell you exactly what will be happening moving further. I will tell you what I'm seeing in the marketplace currently and why I'm actually so bullish at this stage. I will provide you with all the data necessary. I will also tell you what top traders are actually doing right now and what on-chain data is actually showing at this stage. We will also talk about two most undervalued crypto categories at this stage, and we'll also go through one most undervalued blue chip meme coin that is present on the marketplace at this stage and why it's going to pump like crazy and why the sectors I will be talking about going to pump like crazy. Press the like button to support the channel and to support the content, and without further ado, let's start. Bitcoin is at $100,600 at this stage and market is scared, and the main reason why market is scared is because I think what people are focusing in is this line right here. Everyone is probably thinking that we are printing right now the lower high, we should be going lower from here, right? Liquidating everyone one more time, maybe forming like a reversal right here, and maybe from here we should be going higher, right? I'm here today to tell you exactly this is not what actually going to happen. And in order for us to understand why this is not something that's actually going to happen, I have to share the current situation with crypto funding rates. This is the only metric, this is the main metric that you actually only need to pay attention to on this marketplace, because this metric actually shows what people are doing with their own money at this stage, where they are voting with their own money at this stage. And oftentimes, if you're just concentrating this metric, you're actually making money on the marketplace. For example, in the last several days before the giant liquidation flash that happened on Monday, we had crazy funding out there, which means a lot of people were longing. So if you were selling or if you were shorting, you probably was able to make some money. Right now, we're seeing that funding rates are at zero. They are absolutely neutral at this stage, which means that no one is longing, which means that this is exactly the situation that market makers were trying to create in the marketplace to make sure that once they will be pushing the assets higher, no one would actually be able to make money on these assets in the first place. The narrative that's coming around currently is that don't use leverage, just buy on spot. Imagine you had all this money on spot. In order to make money, you have to risk as well. And I will share some things that I'm doing a bit later as well. We also have a very interesting piece of data that I will be sharing later, that whales are accumulating spot while leverage players are getting flushed out. This is exactly something that market makers want to do because they cannot liquidate whales anyway. Like if you're whales, if you're just buying on spot, you do not care. And top traders are actually bullish on the long short ratio. It's just everyone is a bit cautious before the FOMC meeting next week on 17-18th of December. So this is the core thing. We will have a discussion on this as well. Trump is buying Ethereum. We will cover this too. I can't explain to you how absolutely insane this image is. Bitcoin is at $100,000 plus and futures basis at less than 50%. It means that no one is longing at this stage. Do you know why previous cycle happened? Previous cycle happened in the first place because of the money printing and devaluation of the currency of the United States dollars. And secondly, it happened because of a bunch of geeks pumping the price on the marketplace on leverage. Listen to this. Right now, we're at $100,000 Bitcoin with no leverage applied. These are spot buys at this stage till this time. Do you understand how far this thing can actually push with leverage applied on top? This is just crazy piece of information to realize at this stage. Addresses with 100 to 1,000 Bitcoin are the only ones accumulating. Meanwhile, all other addresses are in distribution, meaning they are selling their Bitcoin. Do you understand what is happening? It's crazy. It means that whales are buying right now and they're accumulating and funds are accumulating at this stage, right? And people who did not have a lot of BTC, they are selling. It kind of makes sense from the point of view that Most likely, people who are selling, they do understand that we are definitely at a certain stage of the cycle already. We are not that early anymore. And they just expect a proper outperformance from altcoins at this stage. And that's why these addresses that have less BTC, they are selling. Most likely, they're essentially buying into altcoins, probably into Ethereum. The more risk-averse ones, they are buying into other assets out there as well. But this is exactly something that is happening. We are finally seeing the start of this outflow from BTC into Ethereum. But what's interesting is that large whales currently, they will probably keep buying BTC for quite some time, and I will tell you exactly. I will share the exact data today as well. We also have to know that the most bullish months for BTC is actually Q4 in all of the previous years as well. The price of BTC was increasing the most during these months. We already see quite nice increase already, which is 60%, which is crazy in Q4, but Q4 is not yet over. We still have some time to pump this number a bit higher, and I do think that this something that actually might be happening, especially considering the crypto funding rate that we have between the range of assets out there. What's also interesting is that in comparison to previous cycles, we are still early, and the flash that we've seen on Monday, these are just the flashes that are necessary to keep the market healthy. A lot of altcoins, they're already at the prices higher. Here's how Bitcoin's ROI since cycle low compares to the last two cycles so far. 2015, 2018, 6x, 2018, 2022, 10x, 2022 plus 6x so far. This cycle is 26% below the average of the last 2 years. 8.8x. We definitely should be seeing diminishing returns out there in the price of BTC, but this is also the nice piece of data out there to show that we're still early even in the BTC price. I won't suggest to buy BTC at this stage if you don't have at least $5 million to put into BTC, but if you have $5 million and more, this might be a very, very nice investment still. We also see decreased volatility this cycle in comparison to the previous one. Obviously, the main reason for that is the presence of Bitcoin ETF currently at this stage, because as mentioned in previous cycles, runs, especially the previous one, the last one, 2021, the run was mostly created through leverage that was present on the marketplace. This time is different, which means that yeah, the moves are not that aggressive, but we should be moving higher because blow off top should definitely be higher. And obviously the asset is maturing, it becomes heavier in the market cap as well. It's also important to compare the performance of MicroStrategy to other companies out there, such as Nvidia, Microsoft, and even Bitcoin. MicroStrategy at this stage is actually outperforming Bitcoin. And there are two main reasons for this. First, a lot of companies in the world, the only exposure for them to have to BTC is actually buying MicroStrategy shares. And second is because MicroStrategy is outperforming BTC because of this first factor. The premium is around 1.7x. So when seller is selling MicroStrategy shares to buy more BTC, he's actually capable to buy even more BTC for the amount of shares that he is actually selling. And that's why the average for MicroStrategy BTC bot is still around $60,000 at this stage. BlackRock and MicroStrategy collectively own almost 1 million Bitcoin out of 21 million between just the two. And we know that a bunch of supply of BTC actually is dormant at this stage. It's not accessible, it was lost. So the percentage is crazy if you think about that. Overall of the whole supply that they own currently. This chart shows Coinbase bull-bear divergence. The only thing you have to note about this chart is each and every time it was actually going into red, such as right here, if you can see it, right here, and right here as well. Historically, it was a very, very good time to actually buy into the asset. And what you have to see here is that it actually turned red into the recent drop to $94,000, and the exact same situation was happening on November 26, which are crazy nice buy signals for BTC, which is another point to support the strength of the charts and strength of the assets at this stage, which is another point to support the bull structure continuation on the crypto market at this stage. And now we also have to check Ethereum ETF inflows, because lately the situation changed a little bit in terms of BTC ETF inflows just staying around the same levels, and Ethereum ETF inflows started to pick up. And the difference is that BTC ETF inflows, they kind of stay at the same level as mentioned. People are buying in and they're selling out, right? And Ethereum ETF inflows, they started to accumulate more and more and more and more, which means that when people are buying, they're not selling. And this is something I was preaching for quite some time already. I was preaching that once BTC will reach a certain market cap, people will understand that the upside is quite limited, and they will think, well, do I have any other ETF present on the marketplace so I can actually input the funds of my company and funds of my fund into something like this? And this is exactly what is happening currently. It's not even about like the technology and things like that. It's just about the price, the market cap, I would even say, of the underlying asset out there. What we can see here is that Ethereum inflows, ETFs, are actually increasing on a daily basis currently, which is crazy good for the ecosystem as well. We finally should be reaching this stage 1 year later, exactly, if you essentially think about that, when Ethereum will be breaking out. And the great thing about this situation is that the more it goes higher, the more it prints green candles out there, the higher inflows would be, because people are essentially buying into green candles as well. And to support my point, BlackRock and Fidelity ETFs purchased 500 million worth of Ethereum in the past 2 days, based on the analytic on the on-chain tool Arkham. Crazy. I'm very bullish on Ethereum currently, and I was very bullish on Ethereum for quite some time already. And this is a very interesting piece of data that we have. Pretty much this piece of data shows that through the last flush, we exactly sweep the lows on Ethereum. So we swept almost all of the excessive leverage that was opened in the last several weeks. Crazy if you think about that, because no one is really safe on this market. People were thinking, right, I'm probably doing well with my loan and I won't get liquidated. Now, you were liquidated. And right now, what is happening is that institutions are acquiring the asset through the ETFs that they essentially have. Wealthy spot buyers are winning. Liquidity levels never lie. Ethereum low leverage loan liquidation levels were swept off perfectly. Fresh liquidity levels are marked on the chart. Crazy. Crazy if you would see this situation as well. They are preparing. They're preparing for the pump, and they're doing all the preparations that are necessary. They cleared the leverage already. They surpassed the 100K target already. They essentially invited all the previous market participants for the XRP pump as well. They are preparing for the giant pump out there. And the fear that is present on the marketplace is so bullish currently. The funding rate on the marketplace currently is so bullish as well. It's just crazy. Ethereum is not showing any signs of weakness at this stage. Ethereum has broken out from the multi-year pennant and retested it successfully. Looks like it's gearing up for a strong trend. And when Ethereum trends, it trends. Bring it on. Ethereum USD weekly December 2024. We definitely do see a breakout here. And we are consolidating above this breakout at this stage. Trump-backed World Liberty Financial is swapping stablecoins for Ethereum. On-chain data shows. Crazy to think as well. President of the United States of America is buying Ethereum right now. Crazy. Used to think Ethereum and Ethereum BTC were overhyped going into the Ethereum ETF, but with Trump's proceeds from World Liberty Financial being used to buy Ethereum and pro-Ethereum DeFi, SEC, and CFTC chairs being nominated and the Ethereum overhand plus ETF hype created, this coin don't look too bad anymore. This is crazy. The amount of catalysts that they're creating for this one is crazy. The fact that they perfectly swept the lows on Ethereum, liquidating most people out there who are trying to loan it in the last several weeks. Crazy overview out there. And couple narratives that I would essentially be sharing in this video today. They are closely tied up to Ethereum as well. And one of the most undervalued narratives that I'm seeing currently is crypto gaming at this stage. Virtual Bacon just did a video on this yesterday, and here's my video about it 11 days ago. So you either can be early and you can be front running, or you can be late and serve as exit liquidity. That's essentially up to you. He also mentioned a range of crypto gaming coins that are quite high at this stage, and I would say if you have the size of portfolio that he has, which is probably more than $10 million at this stage, it's fine to be buying into them. But if you're trying to really make it in this market, you need to focus on lower cap plays. Ideally, you want to be doing this on leverage. Leverage is risky, so be careful with this one. But the reason, my take on crypto gaming is, first, liquidity just moves from one thing to another in this market. When there is too much upside in certain niche because it's just heavily undervalued, liquidity will definitely be coming there. 100%. Secondly, we do have a lot of focus from different influencers screaming about crypto gaming for quite some time already, which I kind of started, right? I was the first. And we have a crazy focus from largest crypto accounts out there. really focused on gaming, such as Alex Becker and Elliot Trades as well. And third thing, if you would essentially check out all these assets, all the top assets, crypto gaming wise, you would see that they are essentially Ethereum ecosystem coins. Immutable X is layer 2 on Ethereum. Gala is Ethereum ecosystem coin. Beam, they have their own chain and like they have some connections, like the sub chain is based on AVAX, right? But they're Ethereum ecosystem token in the first place. They also a coin from the previous cycle, which was called Merge Circle. Sandbox, Ethereum ecosystem, X Infinity, Ethereum ecosystem, Decentraland, Ethereum ecosystem, ApeCoin, Ethereum ecosystem, they have layer 2. Superverse essentially as well. Do you understand what is happening? This is actually the most non-direct and non-obvious beta play that is very, very appealing to retail and very, very appealing to normies, to people from previous cycle as well. They do know about these things, and liquidity will definitely be coming into this space. And following the research that Virtual Bacon actually did as well, he says that by far this is the most underperforming category, this is the most underperforming narrative through the whole cycle currently. It had the cycle started with the pump of the crypto gaming out there, and I do think that this thing should essentially continue as well. Out of my picks, I'm longing a large amount of Mavia, which is also Ethereum ecosystem token. They're also on base, all right? And there are a range of low caps that you can actually look into, such as games like Playable, Nakamoto Games, Wagme Games, Domi. So there is a range of lower caps. You can easily just go, you can actually just go on the lows, right? And just check out by market cap, right? And just pick the ones that the charts of are not that dead, for example, right? So if something is green, if something is essentially reversing at this stage, you might look into the game, you might essentially buy at this level as well. Obviously, if this thing has the chart history out there, proper chart history is necessary for you to understand that you are not buying into some type of scam. But I do believe that this narrative will be receiving crazy inflows very, very soon. Second narrative that I do think should be receiving crazy liquidity inflows with the pumpage on Ethereum, because it's just very, very obvious in the first place. Like, it's a very, very straight and direct thought process. And you have to understand that things should be simple. Things should be direct out there. So when people will be seeing Ethereum pumping, and they will feel FOMO because, oh, like I could have bought this at $900 in the bear market, I could have bought it at 1.5k, I could have bought it at 2.2k in the summer, they will feel FOMO. And the natural way for them to position their focus and their assets is Ethereum layer 2 coins. Unfortunately, we do have a long list of them. So you really have to be really careful in picking up which are essentially the proper ones and which will be doing quite well. I would kind of focus on the assets of this cycle that are new, right? That were launched. The chart was going down for many months, which means that most likely market makers and manipulators, they were essentially buying out the whole supply, right? They are essentially ready to pump. Exactly the same thing that happened on Sui. When Sui came out, it was down only for half a year, with market makers essentially accumulating the whole supply. And then eventually they pumped, and we are seeing Sui doing very, very well. 3 layer 2s of this cycle that I think might be doing well: ZK-Sync, Scroll, and Blast. These 3 things, they have this exact chart, and with FOMO present for Ethereum, for people missing Ethereum out there, these 3 assets from my point of view should be appreciated in value greatly. We also have the outcomes of the CPI data yesterday, which kind of came out as slightly higher than the market was expecting, right? Actually around the same levels. US CPI data came in at 2.7%, expectation 2.7%, which is bullish. This is like a fully manipulated metric out there. They're definitely they manipulated this heavily. They're just manipulating the markets with this one. If they are sharing this at these levels, it means that they're probably planning to pump. They probably will be creating bullish environment for the marketplace. So I'm just continuing to persuade you to buy currently and leverage loan currently, because I know that you would leverage loan anyway. You'll just be doing it way higher than right now. Right now, funding rate is neutral, is almost at 0, and right now is actually time to leverage loan out there. Fed decision in December. We do have FOMC meeting next week, and on the pool market, we essentially see that 25% cut is the highest likely scenario, which would be bullish for the market as well. Essentially, it would show that Fed is cutting the rates and we are essentially going into easier monetary policy, which means that the debt is cheaper, which means that money are cheaper as well, which means that we should be seeing crazy economic growth, everything will be all right, and all our assets will be appreciated in price as well. Fed decision in December, yeah, the same situation on poly markets, 96% are betting on 25 BPS decrease. Finalizing some important news that we also had yesterday, Eric Trump, speaking at the Middle East conference, said his family had embraced cryptocurrency because some banks stopped doing business with them after January 6. You're going to have the most pro-crypto president in the history of America, Eric Trump said. Crazy thing, and what's crazy is reaction from the market out there, because we kinda are bombarded with bullish news out there, and the market is not to them to a certain extent, right? Obviously we do see certain assets breaking out, but following the fund rates and following like the things that are happening, where people are voting with the wallets at this stage, they're shorting, they're not buying, they're waiting for some type of confirmation out there because they're scared after a crazy flash like the largest one from 2021, right? But this is very, very bullish. This is exactly the situation that I think, from my point of view, the manipulators were trying to achieve. And I think that in this case, this is one of these like very, very small amount of cases where they are not at the point where they're trying to distribute already at this stage. They are kind of telling you and kind of to help you and telling you that, hey, the market is going higher. And it's crazy bullish because a lot of people, they do have PTSD from the previous cycle. A lot of people, they're talking about the top already, they're selling, and the ones that were selling before the flash, they definitely were geniuses. But the question I have is whether or not they actually re-entered their positions already, or whether or not they're just waiting currently, waiting for some type of new low, things like that. I don't think this is happening. I do think that following everything that we are seeing here, following all the data that I shared, I do think we should be pumping nicely from here. Argentina ends deficit for the first time in 123 years. This is crazy. This is also crazy. And with a new president a year ago, at the January printed 30% of GDP to win an election, fueling inflation. Today, monetary emission is a thing of the past. Very, very nice thoughts. Congrats to Argentina. Breaking, 1 billion USDT minted at Tether Treasury on Ethereum. I don't know, like all the signs are there. I'm giving you just all the signs. I probably give you 15 to 20 data points thus far. And I do think if you actually appreciate the work I have done on this research, consider pressing the like button. And it helps me to understand that you actually like and appreciate this type of content out there, because you have to stay in sync with the market. Like a lot of you are probably in this like bubble, in between your Discord groups, in between your Telegrams, on X, that everything is bearish, everything is going to zero. Nah, we have to be bullish on the right things. Because there are a lot of things out there that don't have a lot of upside from here. But everyone is screaming about them, and you are not making money by being in them, right? Last but not least, billionaire investor Ray Dalio recommends Bitcoin as hard money amid national debt increases. This is crazy. This is like, this guy is one of the main people in investment industry out there, and him stating that, like, I remember he was bashing on BTC back before 2020s. Right now he's bullish on it. Crazy thing are happening. I also want to talk about the most undervalued meme coin blue chip asset out there, which is, from my point of view, is Ethereum Blast currently. The situation I'm seeing right now is that Ethereum is definitely going to pump. If you're positioned in Ethereum assets out there that are pumping already, you definitely played it nicely. You definitely will be receiving the upside, and you definitely will be receiving a lot of people buying into your asset. However, if you're, for example, someone who is essentially only entering at this stage, or you want to essentially increase the risks for your current holdings and reposition some of the assets in expectation that they will outperform, I do think that Ethereum Blast is essentially a situation out there. It has the crazy narrative. It essentially, from the boys club out there, is the first Andy out there as well. First Andy ever appeared on Blast. Yellow character on yellow chain too. The chart is just crazy at this stage. This is just downward consolidation, accumulation for all these levels. Like, everyone who wanted to sell this thing definitely sold already. There should be no sell pressure left once this thing will essentially be reversing, going back higher. It also has a beach ball underwater effect from my point of view, because of the fact that Andy on ETH essentially vampire attacked all of liquidity out of this coin, out of this narrative as well. And I'm not against like any holders of ND on ETH, Wolf on ETH. I do think that the guys are obviously doing very, very well at this stage. It's just that from the risk reward point of view, from the upside point of view, from the point of view that Ethereum will be pumping and Ethereum layer 2s, they will be coming back as well. This is just a crazy bet from my point of view. Like if you're holding multiple six figures in Wolf on or ND on ETH, you do appreciate the narrative. You might not like me in the first place, but just for the sake of your money, I do think it might be a very, very nice play. It's definitely way later on the risk curve, just because of the fact that like we probably need to have some time until like Ethereum will be pumping, and then Ethereum layer 2 will be pumping, and then essentially ND on Blast will be pumping as well. But by far, from my point of view, this is just the craziest things out there. You just have to check out the art, you just have to check out the things that are happening. I've been talking to a team and they're kind of waiting until certain marketing will be present around Blast layer 2. But in order to really make a lot of money, you're not buying into things that everyone is talking about. You're not buying into like everything is flooded at the bottoms, everything. Like people are selling, like everything is flooded out there. But in order to make a lot of money, what you have to do, you have to buy at the bottoms, and you obviously have to hold as well. So I do believe a lot of people will eventually be buying into green candles on this one, right? But if you really want to be making a lot of money, you have to be buying around current levels. These are crazy levels. We're at the bottoms of the consolidation range, giant range, which we should be breaking out from at a certain point of time. I would say we're at the bottom of the FUD, at the bottom of boredom, I would even say. And boredom is way worse than FUD out there. Some other thing I wanted to check is the chart of ND Ethereum to ND Blast. This chart essentially shows it means that when ND Ethereum is going higher, it's outperforming ND Blast. And it's quite crazy because the market cap of ND Ethereum at this stage is $350 million out there, which means that this is a way larger asset, outperforming way smaller asset out there. Like, it's crazy. This chart, it should not be there just from the ratio out there. So it was a heavy vampire attack, and I'm saying vampire attack not because like I'm negative about it or things like that. It just, I think it's just the best definition of what essentially happened. One coin sucking out liquidity from the other coin because people, they essentially trust the other coin more, or the team is working better. It has the better narrative in connection with the assets that are pumping the first, which is Ethereum, definitely. But I think you also have seen the situation on Solana. Solana was not pumping in September and October, and meme coins on Solana, they pumped first, which then led to the pump on Solana. And then memes, they kind of start to consolidate. I'm just saying about the fact on look at your upside, look at your downside, and manage your risks out there. This chart screams to me that it wants to go lower from here, because it just cannot be the fact that largest assets, which is like 100x larger by the market cap, will be outperforming moving further. It just cannot be the fact that people are still like bearish and they're buying into like ND on ETH at this stage. It does not make sense at this stage, right? At least certain speculation should be present, and I do believe market cap on ND on Blast should be present higher. This thing went through 380% drops over time as well, and I do think the market cap of this thing will be appreciated quite soon as well. This chart looks crazy. We're printing the cup and handle that we printed on most of the assets out there, and from my point of view, we should be finally starting to go back up, because what we needed is some hype around Ethereum and layer 2s. But I would say this is exactly the entry point at this stage. It's the same thing as with my video about gaming. I've done it 11 days ago. I was pretty much the first one started to speak about it, and then everyone started to speak about it as well. We are not yet pumping gaming wise, so you still have some time to position into your assets. And I would say the main reason for this is obviously the flash that we had. So this is my overview on this one. I do believe that this pair chart should be going lower. Again, it does not mean that ND on ETH will be going lower. It just means that ND on Blast will be catching up, which means that pair chart wise, it will be outperforming out there 100%. So I'm not sure if we would be going like to these type of lows, but like this level definitely should be happening here. So I do think that this is something that should be happening quite soon. As for the first asset on the best layer 2 of this cycle, from my point of view, that makes the most sense from my point of view as well. So yeah, this is the overview for today. Again, if you want to have timely updates on the market, along with the alpha on undervalued narratives, undervalued coins, undervalued memes out there. The things that if you want to be early, if you want to position yourself in things that will be pumping further, where you're making the most money if you're early on these narratives, subscribe to this channel. This is the type of information that is being discussed here. Thank you very much for watching this one. I will be seeing you tomorrow with a timely market update, and stay healthy and rich. Bye-bye.